Ladies and gentlemen, I have another video today. It's been a little bit, and that is because I've gone through a lot of editing in terms of Apex, and Apex is indeed what we're going to be talking about today. So you might be seeing some Genshin background footage just because I thought it would be better B-roll footage than Apex currently, just because my Apex footage is relatively sweaty as opposed this is just very relaxed, even though it's Spiral Abyss. Anyways, I digress. I had another Apex lore video that I wanted to upload, but I held against it, and I want to elaborate a little bit on that just because I don't want to feel like I'm withholding content from you guys. My last lore video was positives and negatives of Season 10 and 11's lore, and how they failed to connect with Season 9 and other seasons. It wasn't that I hated the last couple seasons lore, it's just they didn't do as a good job as Season 9 and 5 and 6 and 7. There was a lot that they had at their disposal in Season 10 and 11 that they failed to actually go through with. And I'm not sure why that happened, but it was the case. Regardless, I didn't want to start on a negative note when it comes to lore, just because I've never been known, or at least I try not to be known for creating negative feedback with their lore. I mean, constructive criticism is never entirely a bad thing, but I just don't want to start off a new season potentially with something negative in mind. I think next season, as in season 12, it comes out in a week as a time of editing this. There is a lot of potential for the next upcoming season, and how they deliver that season determines that outcome. And from what we've seen, they have proof of delivering. The new legend, if you haven't known, is Mad Maggie. The leak suggested that, but I don't go off of leaks. I waited till the lore goes through, just because I'm not the biggest fan of leaks. I'm not entirely against them, but I'm not entirely for them. If you understand what I'm saying, it ruins surprises. Like Forge and Revenant. But the the central idea of having Mad Maggie for this season is crucial to Octane's development and the story's much larger development as a whole. So we obviously knew that towards the ends of the season, we were seeing that Octane was having confliction with his father, Eduardo Silva, and Eduardo Silva has some kind of plan there with Olympus. He planted a seed. He planted that Icarus ship that had that poisonous toxin, some kind of plant poison or something that endangered many lives, including Caustic and Crypto's mother. But he was known to plant that. And you wonder why. Now, why would Eduardo Silva do this? Well, we get our answer. Eduardo Silva has convinced the population that the syndicate isn't as strong as they would like to be. And now, why would he do this? Let's look into the people. Let's understand the people under the Syndicate rule, more specifically Solus. Solus is just one planet under Syndicate rule, but I think Solus serves as a perfect example. Now, if you don't know, the Syndicate is a mob, basically. Think of it as like a future mob. They're doing their underground operations, they're doing a lot of illegal stuff, but they control. It's organized crime. It's a massive section of organized crime, but they also happen to be the governing body of those planets that are ruled by the Syndicate. So Solus, Gaia, Salvo, all these other planets, they are being governed by that mob, right? They used to be ruled by the IMC or the militia, respectively. And why is that? Well, the IMC was defeated by the militia, or rather, brought to a retreat. The militia, who promised to establish a presence in those planets, did not. Now, I think it has something to do with the blackouts that happened on Gridiron, the final battle. I think both the militia and the IMC were critically affected by that. However, the point is that the IMC was taking from them and the militia was taking from them, and then they disappeared, leaving no one to govern them. And in Mirage's lore from Pathfinder's Quest, his chapter, we learn about his brothers and the civil wars and all the shit that happened on Solus during that time, that they didn't have anyone to establish a presence or larger governing body to establish order. Uh, they had no one there to maintain that peace, and it became an anarchy. Anarchies are not good. They never have been in the history, and they're not any different in Apex's lore. When the anarchy broke out, people fought for food, people fought for water, for resources, for power. The rivers started drying up, and it became more of a deserted, desert, droughted area. And resources became, well, rarer. And that caused people to leave to Gaia and all kinds of other instincts. war factions. That's how Mirage lost his brothers. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic. The point is that there was no stabilization. Then the Syndicate came in. The Syndicate was created. And the Syndicate, albeit terrible and corrupt with God knows what kind of plans, they did establish order. There is some peace. Now, obviously, there's still, violence and wrongdoings, but it defeated anarchy. It established a presence that was better than what they had. So they took that gratefulness for the Syndicate, despite the Syndicate not being perfect, despite the Syndicate having its flaws. What mattered was is that the Syndicate kept them alive. It gave them resources, and it gave them people to control them. It gave order. That was the massive thing about the Syndicate when they came in. Solus, being one of the many planets that is ran under the jurisdiction of the Syndicate. I think um, all of the outlanding planets are controlled by Salvo, or not Salvo, the Syndicate, if not all but most. That's why Salvo was integrated. I think they were the last planet that wasn't. The point is that the Syndicate is the presence. Now, some people like the Syndicate, some people don't. You're going to see someone like Crypto that hates them because of his, Mila. He understands the darker side of what the Syndicate is, the darker shit that they do. And they also have his sister. So he's going to have a bias there. And then you also have people like Revenant, who was played by Hammond, which is also sort of the Syndicate, but not really. Hammond was more IMC, but you can kind of see their presence in the Syndicate. In the Syndicate controlling Revenant by adding him to the games to keep an eye on him. But you can kind of see the people that resent them, and then you can also see people like Mirage, who doesn't necessarily agree with the Syndicate or the IMC, but he understood that the IMC did establish a presence. They did create order, and there was a lot more peace than there was without a governing body. Now, like I said, they're not a good governing body. They're not. But they're better than nothing. And Mirage understands that. He's one of the characters that do. I think Wraith and Pathfinder do as well to some degree. Same with Blisk. But it comes to an understanding that even though I hate these people or dislike them, Mirage, albeit strongly disliking the IMC, given that his uncle Droz worked for the 6-4 and the militia, he still understood the importance of them. But what Duardo is doing is completely rectifying that bond that the Syndicate has created with their people. So Salvo being integrated did not make Salvonians happy. Even Fuse isn't entirely happy with it, though he moved on. He grew up with it. He understood, this is a war that we're not going to win. I'm done fighting this. I'm going to go live my life the way I want to. Maggie, however, a warlord, decided no, she wasn't going to, and she wreaked havoc and rebellion and all this chaos on Salvo, right, leading to her, capture eventually when she goes to Solus and starts terrorism on Solus and wreaking havoc there. The point is that Duardo, a guy who has recently, according to Lisa Stone, the person that interviewed Forge when he was assassinated by Revenant, has somehow coerced Lisa Stone or tricked the populace into starting to question the Syndicate. And it's a matter of, or is the Syndicate truly helping us? The Syndicate, and Lisa Stone, who interviewed Forge, has some bias there because she's seen firsthand Hammond Robotics sending Revenant to kill Forge. Or whether it was Revenant's own doing or Hammond Robotics, it brought in question to Lisa Stone whether the Syndicate was doing the right thing or whether the Syndicate could protect the people. And that was exactly what Duardo needed. Duardo fueled that ambition by further planning the Icarus ship, it causing more terrorism, more panics, questioning the games and the people on not just Solus, not just Salvo, but also Olympus, right? The idea of, I think it's Promethea, the idea of none of these planets that are under the Syndicate's rule have been experiencing very good behavior. They've been experiencing terrorism and destruction and chaos, right? It's all a meticulous plan that has been developed by Duardo to usurp the Syndicate. Duardo wants to eliminate the Syndicate and establish a dictatorship-like power over those bodies, over those planets, over that Syndicate. Whether he wants to control the Syndicate at the top or if he wants to eradicate them completely, I don't know. But it's been clear that is his goal. That is what Duardo is doing. That's why he planted the Icarus ship. That's why Salvo and what's happening is playing into Season 12. And I'll get into that. So Mad Maggie, the main reason why she's in the game is not only does she continue Fuse's lore, she is the direct embodiment of what the larger lore of the game is. She represents the fucking bigger picture. She's going to represent what is happening in the governments, in the entirety of the Outlands. That's what she represents. She's going to represent Eduardo Silva. She's going to represent his actions and be displayed as his actions because her past acts of terrorism and being a warlord. Eduardo Silva pulled his strings, used his power inside the syndicate, which, mind you, is like organized crime. He has somehow established himself a presence in the syndicate or some kind of power. He pulled some kind of strings and released Maggie from her death sentence and brought her into the games. And almost immediately after the games, he knew that Maggie was seen as a terrorist. She has done things that have gotten people injured and has threatened the planets. She's a terrorist. That's what she does, right? Now she does it in the name of rebellion and retaliation and whatever. But the point is that he knew that no one liked Maggie. Even a lot of the legends have a very negative opinion on Maggie. Mirage, for example, has a very bad opinion on Maggie. And Mirage gets along with a lot of people. It's very weird to see him dislike Maggie like that. Of course, she brought destruction to Solus, his home planet, where his mother is and his bar is. Everyone he loves on that planet, right? But Eduardo Silva utilized Maggie as an scapegoat. And he catalyzed his actions. You know, the Icarus ship obviously brought flack because Octane didn't pray for him. Octane didn't listen to Eduardo and do everything Eduardo said. In the end, Octane decided to be defiant. He decided to go against his father. So he needed someone else. He needed someone else that would get the job done. However, he wasn't going to go by someone that does it willingly. He wasn't going to have someone that plays his scapegoat willingly. He was going to rather have someone that everyone hated and use her as the scapegoat. He was going to use her as the way to escape all of his problems and take all the blame. And that's exactly what he did when he planted Olympus. Now, you may wonder, what was he doing on Olympus? Well, he was trying to slam it down into Prometheus, or Promethea. I can't remember the planet's name, but he was trying to slam it down onto a metropolitan area and potentially kill millions of people. An act of terrorism, which would have been blamed on Mad Maggie. Regardless of whether it killed the legends or not, what Eduardo was doing, he was trying to slam one final message by calling the masses of people to prove that the syndicate does not have the strength to rule over the people. They cannot protect the people. What they do is wrong, and they can't protect the people. So the people no longer stand with the syndicate or ignore the syndicate's actions simply because of their protection, because they are no longer safe. That is what Eduardo is trying to do. It is all one massive plan to usurp what the syndicate has created. Now, once again, I don't entirely agree with the syndicate. I think they're bad in their own rights with their organized crime. But Eduardo Silva would be worse. He's fueling... Now, we have to understand that he's a man of power and he's a man of control. It's a matter of why does he want to control the syndicate or why does he want to be a dictator? What does he plan on doing with his power? What is his angle? Is he working with someone or is he trying to just self-gain? Is he trying to just become the new dictator and produce benefits to himself in Silva's corporation? We don't know his exact motives yet, but we know for sure that Eduardo Silva is framing Mad Maggie. Now, Mad Maggie is a perfect character of choice. She is going to be someone who doesn't care. She doesn't care about their opinion. She doesn't care about what the people think. She doesn't care what the syndicate thinks. She doesn't care what the legends think. She doesn't care. She's not there to prove a point. She's there to cause havoc. She doesn't agree with anything that's forced Salvo into submission. She doesn't like anyone that's a part of the syndicate, whether it be Solus or Olympus or Gaia or any of those planets. She does not like them. She sees them as assimilation. She sees them as cowards. She sees them as weaklings. So, yeah, she would probably commit those acts of terrorism anyways. It fits her character. Now, she's not going to lie about it and claim her own thing. Hence why in the trailer she lifts the glasses that was Eduardo Silva's to Octane and Lifeline. Now, it's a matter of why is she being honest with them? Or what will she do being honest with them? Will she do the good thing or will she do nothing? I have a feeling she's going to do nothing or she's still going to cause havoc because that's her character. She's not a good person. She's a fucking warlord, right? What the bigger picture is we need to ask ourselves going into Season 12, We need to ask ourselves, what is Eduardo Silva doing and why is he doing it? Why is he causing these acts of terrorism and why does he want to usurp the syndicate? Why does he want to establish himself as a larger governing body? Why does he want that power? What is his angle? What does he gain from it, right? How is he going to do it? What's next? How is Mad Maggie going to further play into his terrorism? Is there going to be more destruction? These are all questions to be asking about season 12. And the other part that we need to be asking is what are the set legends going to do? Mad Maggie probably not going to do much. Revenant probably not going to do much. Ash probably not going to do a whole lot. Crypto got his hands full. Watson helping Crypto got her hands full. So you got other legends that don't have their hands full, like potentially Fuse, depending he's not accustomed with Mad Maggie, which he probably will be, and even Bloodhound potentially being accustomed with Mad Maggie. Bloodhound might be important lore investment. We have Loba, who's got her hands full with Jamie, Bangalore, and Valkyrie, which potentially Jamie being assassinated by Revenant being the next target. They could have their hands full. That leaves Octane, Lifeline, Mirage, Wraith, and Caustic, but not really. And Rampart. And Pathfinder. We don't have that many options here, and we still don't know what their angles are going to be. Horizon, going after Ash still. A lot of legends have their hands occupied, so it's going to be narrowed down to a select few. And if I had to make a guess who it's going to play a huge role into, Octane and Lifeline, obviously, because their parents are potentially involved. Then we have Mirage, who's not really been doing a whole lot in the past couple of seasons. He's going to be pretty open, even though he's got that Richard Witt stuff going on. They've sidelined it pretty hard. And there's also Wraith, who has also been sidelined pretty hard. But other than helping Bangalore with Jackson, despite Bangalore kind of running away from the issues currently with the Revenant lore, getting a little sidetracked, Wraith is pretty open-handed right now. So we're probably going to be seeing those four characters, maybe even Pathfinder, and potentially Horizon and Gibraltar, although I don't see it, investigating this Mad Maggie stuff and battling with it and tangling with it and seeing how they engage with it. Those legends are potentially they're going to deal with it, but we don't know. I can't predict that. Those are legends to keep an eye on. The other thing to understand is what are the legends going to do? Are they going to continue to blame Mad Maggie? I think they have the understanding that Eduardo was behind it. I think Octane and Lifeline established that to their friend group. I think they talked to their friend group. And I say friend group as in, like, the legends that are all together. Like in Season 5, you had Mirage, Octane, Wraith, Pathfinder, Watson, Crypto. That group, that collective group that stays together. Now, obviously, some are better friends with others. You got Wraith, Watson, Pathfinder, and Mirage that are always going to be closer, and Crypto and whatnot. And then Octane's going to be closer to Lifeline than he is Mirage. But that group, that friend group, including Gibraltar, who is kind of the babysitter of them all, how are they going to react? They all are going to know to some degree that while Mad Maggie isn't a good person, they also know, due to Eduardo's glasses and the evidence she gave Octane, that Eduardo is behind this. How are they going to tangle this? How are they going to deal with Eduardo? And how are they going to prevent Mad Maggie from committing any further acts of terrorism like she did back when Fuse came into the game? It's a question of controlling two tyrants, one who wants power and the other one that just wants to wreak chaos. How are the legends going to do that? That is one of the most important questions, along with understanding Eduardo's motives, that we need to ask ourselves going into this new season. And I think by asking ourselves that by going into the new season, I think that we can have a better understanding of the lore, and hopefully we get some really good lore this season. I'm going to stop ranting because I've been going on for 20 minutes. Once again, I'm sorry if I haven't been uploading that much, but I want to get these Apex lore videos right. And yeah. This is kind of a speculation video. I don't know where it's going to go. We'll see. Let's see what the interactions bring us. Let's see what the comics in-game bring us. Hopefully not a wild goose chase that was pointless. Let's see something interesting, and let's see something form. Alright, guys. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. I went back through and edited this, and I decided that actually there is one more thing I'd like to talk about, and that would be the control game mode that is coming in. Not the game mode itself, but what it presents as a lore. So in the trailers, it exemplifies the fact that Eduardo Silva created this game mode, and I think what it is, and I don't think Eduardo is creating a diversion for the people. I think Eduardo is trying to show, hey, look, I can do the Syndicate games too. Look at me. I can do this just right. I'm giving you what you want. Choose me. I'm a good person. I'm perfect. I'm fit this role for the Syndicate. When they're lacking, they're failing, I can pick up what they leave behind. I think that's what he's doing with the control game mode. I think that's an angle that he's going at with as well. I think he's trying to win the populace.